Good morning and welcome to the Little Apartment on the Prairie. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about preparing for things emotionally. I've done a number of videos on this channel about prepping for emergencies, for dealing with the pandemic, or whatever kind of natural disaster might affect you where you live or whatever, and what kind of supplies you might want to have on hand and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about prepping emotionally, because just having stuff isn't necessarily going to be enough. So I've got, what do I have? 7 tips. One is to practice any new skills or using any new equipment before you need it. If you bought some kind of a camping stove, or you bought a tent in case you have to bug out, or you bought, I don't know, some kind of a fancy fire starter equipment or whatever you've got, make sure you know how to use it before the worst thing happens. If your plan is, if you don't have any electricity in your house, you're going to cook out over an open fire in your backyard, that's awesome. But if you've never built a campfire or never cooked over one, why don't you practice doing it now? That will increase your confidence and decrease anxiety, and you can have fun doing it now. Just cook out for dinner one night over the campfire, or put up the tent in the backyard so you know how to set it up, or and if it's warm out, let the kids sleep in it or whatever. But learn to use that equipment or do those skills. If they're new to you, practice them now while it's not an emergency. The second thing is to have a plan B and a plan C and maybe a plan D. If you can plan for the unexpected, you'll decrease worry. So maybe your plan is that you're going to cook out over a campfire in the backyard if you have no electricity to cook within your house. Well, that's great, except what if it rains for a week? And you can't even start a fire in your backyard, let alone cook over one. So what's your plan B? Is it that you have food that you can cook in the house? Is it that you have a little camping like rocket stove that you could use in the garage with the garage door open? Is it, maybe the rocket stove is your plan B, but if for some reason that doesn't work, plan C is you've got some food that can be eaten cold in the house. Whatever, have more than one plan, because things can go wrong. And if you've got a variety of ways to deal with different scenarios, then you have less to worry about. So number 3 is develop a support system and use it regularly. Okay, if like we're in the middle of the apocalypse, you might not have access to all your support system, but like right now during the pandemic, you can have access to a support system. It may not be the same type of support system that you used to have, because we have to have social distancing and stuff. One of the things I do is I have a friend that every other day we talk on the phone in the morning. We kind of start our day that way. And that's been a big support to me, and that's just been really useful. So the internet has also been really useful, but if all your support is online, then if for some reason you lose internet access, you don't have that. So try and have a good support system, and a lot of us aren't good at that. It's something we have to work at. It's sure something I've had to work at. Number 4 is develop self-care skills and practice these too. I have cat hair in my mouth. Whiskers, that's your fault. She's like, I don't care. She's also getting cat hair in my coffee. Isaac, you want to bring me your Kong? Now he's starting to whine because he's not getting attention or treats. Bring it here. So, if whatever it is you do to take care of yourself, if it's meditating or doing yoga or just, spending time outside, or if it's, you've got a treat in this one already, Isaac. Whatever it is, practice those things and make time to do it regularly. It's going to help more if you meditate regularly than if you only try to meditate when you feel like your batteries are low and you're desperate and you got to do something before you fall apart. whatever, and self-care means different things to different people. I have a friend who, like, kind of her self-care thing is she dyes her hair. And if that's it, that's fine. Have a lot of hair dye on hand. Whatever it is that means self-care to you, know what those things are. And if you have no idea what they are right now, you're not the only person who draws a blank when someone says, "What do you do to take care of yourself?" But if that's the case, it's time to spend some time figuring that out. All right, number 5 is have hobbies or distractions, things that can give your mind and your emotions a break. And think about distractions that you can turn to, like even if the power's out, or something that you could take with you if you had to evacuate because of a hurricane or a flood or whatever. So like one of the things I do to de-stress and distract myself is I have certain YouTube channels I watch. There's this channel where this guy builds these huge elaborate ant farms, and if you're thinking the ant farm you had when you were a kid, that is not what these are. They're these huge terrariums, but they're in such a way you can like see the ants doing things. I don't know that I want a bunch of ants in my house, but it's cool to watch. Anyway, that's one of the things I do. You know, I'll watch an hour of the ant farms, the different terrariums he builds and stuff, and that distracts me from whatever. But if we're having a blizzard or a hurricane or something, and we don't have hurricanes in Nebraska, but you know what I mean. If the power is out, I'm not going to be able to do that. If the internet's down, I'm not going to be able to watch YouTube. If I have to evacuate, I can take my phone with me, but not my laptop, and I can watch stuff on my phone, but what if, my battery dies and I can't recharge it or whatever? So, that's fine that's one of my distractions, but I need another one. Another thing that I do is I crochet. There's sometimes I sew, but mostly I like to crochet. It de-stresses me. It keeps my hands busy if I feel all jittery and restless and stuff. And a lot of times I crochet while watching something on YouTube. Okay, but if I have to evacuate because there's a hurricane or a tornado or a flood or whatever, I'm not going to pack my big bag with a half-made Afghan in it and several different things of yarn. That's not real portable. So like one of the things that I do, and I need to buy another one, I like word searches. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I bought this word search book. I found it on Amazon. It was the American Sign Language alphabet and then word searches. And instead of, their printed alphabet, it was the little hand shapes for the alphabet. And if you didn't know the alphabet, they had the alphabet for you in the front of the book. And it was really interesting to me. And I finished it all like months ago, which I kind of feel like that should have been a signal for the pandemic to be over. But anyway, I can do that. If the power goes out, I can pack that in a bag if I have to evacuate for some reason. Some people like playing cards. There's my phone, and I will return that call in a moment because I'm busy right now. Anyway, a deck of playing cards is a good thing you can pack. Having some board games at home, if you live alone, doesn't help you, but if you've got a family, just having a variety of things that you can use to distract yourself is helpful. So number 6 is pay attention to self-talk, and we all say things to ourselves, whether we say, oh my God, this is going to be terrible, or I'm never going to be able to figure out how to do this, or if we say, okay, this is really challenging, I think I can do it, or we say, hang in there, you've been through hard things before, you can do it again, self. Pay attention to what we say to ourselves. Maybe some of us talk to ourselves a little more than others, like me. I always say I've got to have pets because if I didn't have animals around, then I just walk around the house talking to myself. And now at least I can walk around talking to them. But seriously, pay attention to what you say to yourself. Because that's going to be important, especially during stressful times. And the 7th tip is find what nourishes your soul and charge your batteries now. So for me, like one of the things that's really helpful is spending time in nature. Well, if we're in a disaster, like a blizzard, I might not be able to spend time in nature, but I know that really nourishes me, and it's important for me to spend time outside every day if I can, or almost every day. And so I do that when I can. And then if I have a day that I can't, I kind of, that's okay because I've charged up that battery, if that makes any sense. You know, petting Whiskers. You always see her on my lap. But that's something that nourishes me. Yes, which is why I put up with your cat hair everywhere, Whiskers. Whatever it is for you, figure out if it's prayer or reading, some sort of religious text, or if it's music. I know people for whom it's music. Find what it is and rely on that as much as you can. So those are my tips for prepping emotionally. And I know we're seeing a lot of kind of civil unrest is like the pretty word for it. It's like a euphemism for it. It really makes it sound better than it is. But we're seeing a lot of that right now with protests and riots and police brutality and police being shot and all of that. And a lot of people suspect we're going to see a lot more of that around the election. And I think that's probably true, unfortunately. So it's useful to start preparing emotionally as well as getting our house in order. Cat hair itches my nose. All right, so let me know what kind of things, if you have tips for preparing emotionally, or if you have ideas, things that you use for self-care, because that's always something that I struggle with. And also if you have tips for how to change negative self-talk. Like, I know self-talk is important, but I'm not always real good at it, especially when I'm frustrated or stressed. So let me know if you have ideas on how to actually change that negative kind of self-talk. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and everybody have a good day.